Fit, active, healthy, happy, enjoying the prime of your life. Looking out for your health and wellness, this is Health Talk with Fred Lowry from Lowry Drug in Statesville. Visit Fred at his store, conveniently located on Hartness Road in Statesville.
Good afternoon, this is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine, and this is Health Talk. This episode was pre-recorded for Friday, December the 12th, 2025. We're here to explore the facets of your health and keep you up to date and informed. This program is intended to share knowledge and information based on my research and experience. It's not intended to offer individual advice, nor does it replace a one-on-one relationship with a qualified healthcare professional. Your daily choices are yours and have more to do with your health than anyone in the healthcare field. My hopes are that this show will empower you with knowledge to take a more proactive approach to your health. Some of my sources include, but are not limited to, various news health feeds such as Epic Times, Mercola, Children's Health Defense, PubMed, and various Substack posts. You know, in today's world with the Make America Healthy Again kind of focus that we have, things are happening quickly. Just last week, the U.S. Supreme Court delivered a huge win for religious exemptions for vaccinations. The U.S. Supreme Court reversed a lower court decision against a group of Amish parents and school leaders who challenged the state of New York's vaccine mandate for schools, ruling that the appeals court must reconsider the case. The ruling is a win for health and religious freedom advocates. This Supreme Court decision is said to be a checkmate for states that refuse to accept religious exemptions. It means we're almost certain to get religious exemptions back, not only in New York, but across the country. This stems from a lawsuit filed June 2nd, 2023, against the New York State Department of Health and Educational Department, alleging they violated the U.S. Constitution by preventing the plaintiffs from exercising their religion. So apparently the lawyers asked the Supreme Court to hear a case of Miller versus McDonald after a U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit dismissed the lawsuit in March. So basically, they've handed down this decision to take another look at that. This case is very interesting. It basically, the Supreme Court negated the Second Circuit's legal arguments for denying the Miller's plaintiff the right to a religious exemption. So this basically paves the way for constitutional protection for religious exemptions. Interestingly enough, there was a case that is associated with this, but it doesn't necessarily seem that way. There was a Mahmoud versus Taylor case, and that's Mahmud, so I'm sure I didn't pronounce that correctly, about how public schools must offer opt-outs for parents who object to LGBTQ-themed elementary school books due to their religious beliefs. This was a case where the parents basically said they have religious objections to the school policy, and basically that basically cleared, but because of the religious exemption, it kind of paves the way for the other vaccination issue. So in many states, including North Carolina, there is a religious exemption for vaccinations, along with a medical exemption if you have issues with the components of the shot. So basically the message is, according to this article, that also that pediatric medical professionals cannot sideline parents. The concept of providers ignoring parental consent violate an exemption to vaccine mandates. And so that is, I think, a positive thing. I'm an advocate of medical choice, and certainly there are reasons to make that choice. Religious exemptions are certainly a big part of that, or can be. The other thing that's pretty big this month is that the Vaccine Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices have changed the long-standing recommendation regarding hepatitis B vaccinations for newborns. For those of you that don't know, hepatitis B vaccination is given to newborns on day one universally, unless the parents specifically opt out for that. It's not technically a legal requirement that happen, but basically this immunization advisory committee is moving away from that. Recommends that parents discuss with their healthcare providers whether the administration of hepatitis B vaccine at birth is necessary. The change specifically applies to infants born to mothers who test negative for hepatitis B during pregnancy. So keep in mind, hepatitis B is considered a blood-borne pathogen. It's involved in particularly in liver health. So it has to do with the exchange of body fluids. It's closely associated with IV drug users and other sexual practices. So, the question is, does every infant need such a vaccination? Is that baby at risk? And that's the question I think we should ask for every vaccination out there. Vaccinations are not universally always the thing to do, obviously. So if the mother is not in that risk group, is the baby at risk? What's the chances? The other thing that comes to mind about that too is, at least in my mind, the concept of if the mother is infected, does that vaccination actually protect that baby from getting hepatitis B? The baby's already been exposed. There could be already antibodies that are related to that virus, and the baby's immune system's not fully formed. I don't think there's any evidence that actually demonstrates that is effective for babies. So, and this happens, the shot within 24 hours of birth, regardless of mom's health status. So this universal approach of giving vaccinations to all and the concept of protecting the baby from hepatitis B, I've always thought that was flawed logic. We've got more on this coming up. Coming up on a break here. Stay tuned for more Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry. Welcome back to Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry, Drug and Statesville. Talking about the Vaccine Advisory Board changing the recommendation for hepatitis B vaccine. This, of course, was strongly opposed from major medical organizations, including the American Academy of Pediatrics and American Medical Association, the Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine. I'm sure that's another invention of pharmaceutical manufacturers, but these organizations are heavily funded by manufacturers. And they say that delaying vaccination could leave infants vulnerable to hepatitis B in early childhood. Even though that's not really a risk factor for most individuals. So, hepatitis, this vaccination, I believe, is potentially dangerous because of the components. This particular vaccination has been controversial since the beginning. A lot of this has been forgotten, but there was a tremendous amount of pushback on this originally, and it is said that it's only 1 in a million children that actually benefit or potentially benefit from this. This vaccination has been the subject of congressional hearings, all kinds of publicity. It is associated with autoimmune disorders, particularly ones that demyelinate the nerves. That's the myelin sheath is the covering of the nerves. So when that covering comes off, that becomes a real issue for nerve conduction. Mercury is a well-known agent of demyelination. I will say, as far as I know, there's not any mercury in this shot, but there is aluminum that is definitely a neurotoxin. And if you do any searches on that, you will see mixed reviews on that. But basically, the medical community has insisted for almost 50 years that there's no link between any of these health-related things, no evidence, and they always say we need further research that will certainly never be done or become definitive. So the hepatitis B vaccine has reduced acute cases in these high-risk demographics, the IV drug users. There's no evidence that the same has happened with newborns. And so we have this blanket policy that we reevaluate things. So in the package insert for the medication, this is a genetically engineered product from a yeast, Saccharomyces, and they make a suspension of the antigen for hepatitis B in aluminum hydroxide, and aluminum is very difficult for the body to detoxify. It does ride inside of white blood cells. White blood cells can end up in the brain. It's a well-known neurotoxin. So this is definitely a problem. Another thing that is of interest to me, it says it contains no more than 5% yeast protein. So we don't really know what that does. We have it's basically potentially RNA or DNA fragments of yeast protein. 5% is a big number, and the reason we have that is because these antigens are grown in yeast cultures. The other thing, there is a couple of preservatives or phosphate buffers in there, and if you were to look into those, they are toxic as well. So, kind of along the same lines of this thought process, in infants, we have the concept of using folic acid to prevent neural tube defects. This is a birth defect in babies. So folic acid becomes pretty much a primary recommendation for anyone that is expecting or pregnant. By the way, the oral contraceptives actually decrease this folic acid, but the problem is folic acid in and of itself has to be metabolized or methylated to be used. Now, methylation is a term that is used, and it relates to a chemical process, if you will, or the conversion to something that the body can use. So what happens, this artificial folic acid can block the receptors of other, where the folic acid or the methylated folic acid is supposed to work. This is pretty much an issue because there is a genetic problem with a lot of the population. It's called the MTHFR mutation. And apparently half the population has one copy of that, a heterozygous, and around 25% has double copies of that, which is homozygous. So in 1998, the government decided to fortify our foods with folic acid. Keep in mind that wheat products, as an example, are fortified because during the processing of wheat and becoming flour, you lose all the nutritional value from the wheat. And so that's where one of the things for fortification came from, because basically when you do that, when you end up with white flour, that has no nutritional value in terms of vitamins. So when the government decided, well, we need to prevent these neural defects in babies and the development. So they use the synthetic folic acid, which very few people can actually process. So it's basically doesn't convert to what the body can use, and particularly with people with this gene mutation. And this is a big deal because the unmetabolized folic acid supposedly can build up in the bloodstream and interfere with the receptors for the natural folates that you should get from your food. So in terms of the individuals with one copy, typically reduces this methylation process by 25 to 35%. And by the way, this process, chemical process, is important for all kinds of things in the body. So when you eat folic acid, you're not converting that. When your methylation, this concept of methylation becomes sluggish, you could end up with fatigue, hormone imbalances, your detoxification processes are altered. You can have anxiety, histamine issues, women with heavier cycles, and fertility issues. When you have two copies, this methylation drops 50 to 70%. And so now you're getting in a little higher issue with inflammation. It raises something called homocysteine levels. Homocysteine is a protein. It's a byproduct of protein conversion. And if you have enough B vitamins on board, you can reconvert this homocysteine, which becomes, which is an issue for cardiovascular issues. Individuals with elevated homocysteine levels due to low B vitamins have higher issues with cardiovascular health. So the ones with this, the women with this mutation have higher risk of hormone-related issues, endometriosis, estrogen dominance, PMS, which is also an estrogen-dominant condition, infertility, and miscarriages. So they can't methylate estrogen correctly in the same way related to the folate. They can have neurological symptoms, things related to neurotransmitters. So all of this certainly becomes an issue in the health. And when we think about relating that back to the previous topic with the hepatitis B shot, now we're talking about being able to detoxify properly. So the more toxins you introduce to anyone, including an infant, whose detoxification systems are not fully developed, then you have more issues, particularly if they are the recipient of a homozygous gene mutation. So this methylation is important. It's basically a regulatory switch that turns on genes and turns off genes. It's essential for life, playing a role in epigenetic regulation and more. Stay tuned for Health Talk.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying.
Welcome back
Now
to Health
I
Talk.
want to
This is Fred Lowry of
understand.
Lowry Drug in Statesville, which was established in 1959. We are a traditional family pharmacy with a state-of-the-art compounding laboratory. We offer a full line of medical equipment and supplies, including CPAP, scooters, lift chairs, oxygen. We also have a very complete line of supplements, nutritionals, herbs, essential oils, homeopathics, and more. Come see us. So we were talking about methylation and the MTHFR gene mutation. So keep in mind, all of this relates to embryonic development, growth. This methylation issue plays a role in neurotransmitters, as I mentioned, serotonin, dopamine. You know, there are individuals that can't methylate properly. One of the products that's used for that related to neurotransmitters is something called SAMe. That product can be helpful. This also plays a key role in detoxification, elimination of toxins and heavy metals. I mentioned the homocysteine issue, which requires B1, B6, B12. And keep in mind there are all kinds of things that interfere with this. There are drugs that interfere with B12. That would include the popular metformin for diabetes, any proton pump inhibitors, antacid-related products interfere with B12. So it does give you an idea that these B vitamins are very important. They are not like fat-soluble vitamins. These are water-soluble vitamins that have a big role in energy production, nerve function, mood balance. Deficiencies can show up as fatigue, brain fog, irritability. So there's a lot of good foods that provide these nutrients, but overcooking can destroy them. So there's 8 members of this B vitamin group, and I generally recommend taking a complex because they all seem to help each other out at some level. You've got vitamin B1, which is thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, pantothenic acid, pyridoxine, biotin, folate, cobalamin, which is the B12. Thiamine deficiency is related to nerve and brain disorders. That's the B1. Riboflavin is associated with skin problems, niacin deficiency, known as pellagra, known for the 3Ds, which is dermatitis, diarrhea, and dementia. The thiamine also protects muscles. Riboflavin is actually an activation switch for many of the B vitamins. B6 supports mood and blood health. So your nerves need the B vitamins. Liver uses a lot of B vitamins. Adrenals, a lot of B vitamins. The idea is you don't need mega doses of this, though. Just taking, hopefully, a steady intake of that. Other people that may face B12 deficiencies, vegans, because B12 is essentially not found in vegetarian diets. People that may have undergone a gastric bypass surgery, all of these things play a role. And so if you're in this category at all, you certainly ought to consider taking a B supplement, and I also just recommend taking the methylated version. You can find that in a capsule. You can find it in liquid, sublingual forms, or tablets as well. Particularly the methylfolate, B6, and B12. They can be found in combinations, and I think that's an excellent combination. So I want to talk about alcohol consumption. I'm sure I'll get into a little trouble for this because the culture kind of supports that. I have certainly enjoyed craft beers and wine, but I'll tell you that I've came to the conclusion some time ago that that's not consistent with my health goals, and obviously it is a toxin, but it's something we can enjoy. Some people go beyond the enjoyment side and overconsume, certainly, but alcohol is a toxin. I've used to hear about things related to wine consumption. I know that most vineyards do spray their grapes every 7 to 10 days, I've been told, related to keeping fungicides at a minimum, fungus at a minimum. So it's not a natural product, and there's things that come out talk about the benefits of it. But even we've been told a glass of wine a day protects your brain, and that's I'm sure that's not true. There was a study over about 500,000 adults in the U.S. and the United Kingdom, and basically shows that alcohol harms your brain at every level of consumption, particularly related to, as we see more and more, dementia. And it's interesting, alcohol is a contributing factor to dementia, even though dementia patients generally don't consume alcohol. So what happens is with these individuals is, they may have been alcohol consumers, but as they realize they're having an issue with their brain function, most of them just stop consuming. And so then there's this association that, it doesn't really, the alcohol doesn't really impact dementia, but the effects have been happening for some time. Alcohol impairs energy production with mitochondria. It damages nerves, accelerates the biological aging process that leads to dementia. And unfortunately, for many of you out there, Simple truth is there's no safe amount of alcohol when it comes to preserving your brain. When I was younger, the basic commercial and message was that alcohol destroys your brain cells and you can't get those back. I'm sure that's true at a certain point. The brain does have the concept of neuroplasticity, and things can be improved, obviously. This study from the British Medical Journal analyzed almost 600,000 people up to 12 years related to alcohol consumption, and they found that the more alcohol people consume, the higher the dementia risk. Light drinking offered no protection, and they say alcohol is not a nutrient, it's a neurotoxin that can gradually undermine mood, memory, and cognition. I think we've probably all known that at some level. So researchers found that every level of drinking increases the risk of dementia. More good news when we come back. Stay tuned for more Health Talk.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying.
Welcome back to Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine, talking about alcohol consumption. I will mention too that alcohol does deplete your B vitamins. So when we look at the occasional thing, I'm not sure that that's a terrible issue. Everyone gets to make choices here. This is a dose-related kind of issue in terms of harm, of course. The higher the intake, the greater the damage. I find it interesting that alcohol and this thing called linoleic acid follow the same toxic pathways to your liver. The linoleic acid, of course, is the PUFAs, the polyunsaturated fats associated with seed oils. It's not just your brain, obviously, that's affected with alcohol. It also impacts the liver. The seed oils, along with that, are a problem. So, there's such a thing as a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. I think that's primarily associated with the linoleic acid and high fructose corn syrup. But the alcohol, fatty liver, and non-alcoholic share the same root problem, which is basically mitochondrial injury, the ability to produce energy on a cellular level. So obviously the alcohol is an issue, but when you're consuming the linoleic acid in salad dressings and fried foods and processed snacks, fat builds up in your liver because your cells can't make energy efficiently anymore. So when you drink, your liver converts ethanol to aldehyde. Toxic aldehydes damage the cell membranes, the DNA, and the linoleic acid follows almost the same route. So both of these are highly reactive chemicals, molecules that attach themselves to proteins, and mitochondrial DNA disrupts the body's ability to generate energy, and obviously our modern diet makes all of this worse. So certainly an issue is to consider reduction or elimination of alcohol, certainly eliminating seed oils. One recommendation you could do if you feel like you do need to go have a drink is to use a NAC or N-acetylcysteine before drinking. It can help detoxify the components there that are definitely helpful for the liver. So on a little lighter note, I want to talk a little bit about intuition and that gut feeling. Some of this comes from an Epic Times article, health report. So intuition is the ability to understand or know something immediately without consciously reasoning through it. It's that gut feeling. Some of that draws on our vast stores of knowledge and patterns that we've seen in the past. But the speed is much faster than a logical analysis. It's basically an instinctive feeling. Some might call it an inner voice. And some of it is pattern related, so kind of based on experiences. Some of those may or may not be realistic, or not particularly related to fear, but nonetheless, I think we've all experienced intuition in some form. It's kind of a hunch or knowing is something okay or something terribly wrong, and this happens before our conscious thought comes up. We've all walked down the street and had an uneasy feeling, maybe at night, or could be anything, but it's a simple instinct that something is not right. Intuition goes beyond superstition and is probably a sophisticated form of intelligence operating largely below our conscious awareness. The phenomenon raises questions. Where does this come from? It's a knowing without knowing, basically. There have been studies found that when chess grandmasters are given 5 seconds to evaluate a position, they can accurately predict, despite lacking the time for a conscious analysis. Basically, their brains are making rapid decisions through pattern recognition. This experience similarly reflects among experts across a lot of fields, physicians, military, firefighters, points to possibilities that intuition may emerge from prior experience. So it's this fast, instinctive form of intelligence that operates separately from our conscious. Going with your gut may be especially true in complex situations. Research shows that people that face complex decisions, such as selecting a home or making life choices, those who focus on their feelings rather than the painstaking analysis of every detail, often make better decisions. Perhaps even more importantly, they're more satisfied with the outcome. So I'm not sure that's always the case, obviously, but I think it's interesting when we see something we like. Say you see a home and it could have all kinds of problems, but we look past those because for some reason that it just fits for whatever we're looking for. So certainly intuition is a valuable thing. A lot of this gut feeling, the gut's called the second brain. It's said to have 200 million neurons that send information back and forth between the brain through the vagus nerve. Is some type of a feedback loop there. And incidentally, it is known that the gut can actually operate separately from the brain. So I think about children that have stomach aches. So this isn't necessarily intuition, but maybe they're having issues at school and their stomach hurts. And I think this is a real thing for them. It's an emotional reaction to something going on, or the anticipation that Maybe they don't want to go to school, and it may not even be conscious related to them. But this is kind of brings up the thought of how does this information happen? Particularly with a stranger or something. Is that person projecting a bad energy? Are they projecting an ill intent? It's a very curious thing, and there's also you think about that concept of feeling like you're being stared at, which is also a real thing. Then we can get into the gut microbiome, which mind-blowingly can influence behavior and brain function and all kinds of things. So we're talking about trillions of bacteria cells, and they can affect feelings of urgency, emotions, memory. They produce chemicals that affect the brain. They've done experiments with rats where they changed the microbiome and caused anxiety in these rodents, and then took the good bacteria, put it back, and the anxiety goes away. It's just mind blowing to me. I think you think about a little butterflies in your stomach concept before making a big decision, or what some call a sinking feeling when something goes wrong. This is that communication system at work. Neuroscientists have found that other brain processes may explain intuition. Memory is organized from an implicit level where general meaning is not fully brought into the conscious access. So it also kind of illustrates how our memory actually has a perception thing. So before we consciously remember or notice something, our brains, especially our limbic system, our emotional system of the brain, rapidly sort out experiences, picking up the most important things and processing them. The brain has a tendency to perceive patterns rather than individual parts and create closure to make sense of incomplete information. We have that all the time. When we try to speculate, we don't have all the information. Why would this happen? Why would someone do this? And we're probably some of that speculation could be correct, might not be. Anyway, I'm running out of time here, and I think intuition is an important thing. Particularly, you could use that related to supplements. Do I need this? Maybe I don't. Maybe you've been taking a supplement, you stop, and one day you think about it. That could be a clue that I need that at this point in time. It's just pretty fascinating stuff. Thank you for listening to Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist, Dr. Veterinary Medicine, Lowry Drug and State.